A 6-year-old boy found not breathing after an alleged beating that may have claimed his life.
A mother and her boyfriend are charged in the death of the mother's 6-year-old son. The boy's mother, Elena Jennings, and her boyfriend are each charged with murder and child abuse for what the prosecutor says happened inside a home in Madison Heights.
He was so unrecognizable, like his head was almost double the size. His eyes were so swollen.
Simply heartbreaking. I can't tell you how difficult it was to hear them detail some of these incidents that happened to this boy. One of the worst child abuse cases that she's ever seen.
He was beaten, he was bound to the wall by using a staple gun, which forced his face into a corner.
Hi guys, welcome back to KW Lawholic. It's Kayla. If you're new here, thank you for coming. If you're not, thank you for always returning. And let's get right into our case. Today's case is about Giovanni Jennings. It's a tragic one, so please brace yourself. Giovanni Jennings, or also known as his nickname, Chulo, was born on October 17th, 2017 to David Reyes and Elena Rose Jennings. Giovanni is a 6-year-old boy from Madison Heights, Michigan. He has 2 siblings, a brother and a sister, Emmanuel or Manny, and Alea Lily. Giovanni currently lived with his mother and her boyfriend, Daniel John Gayachichna, his 2 siblings, and Gayachichna's mother. When asked about Giovanni, his stepfather said that he was an amazing child. Such an happy child. He said that all Giovanni wanted to do was run and play like any normal child his age. At 2:34 p.m. on July 30th, 2024, a call was made to the Madison Heights Police Department. The police and firefighters were dispatched to a mobile home park community at the 25,000 block of DeQuinder Road. Giovanni's mother, Elena Jennings, had called 911 to report that Giovanni wasn't breathing. When the officers arrived on scene, they found Giovanni and they saw that he was unconscious and had injuries all over his body. So they rushed him to the hospital. Giovanni was taken via ambulance to the Ascension Macomb Oakland Hospital and then eventually transferred to Children's Hospital. While at Children's Hospital, because of how intense and severe his injuries were, he ended up passing away around midnight on July 31st, 2024. At that time, the Madison Heights officials and authorities deemed his death very suspicious, and they decided to open up an investigation. Because of his death and his injuries, his mother, Elena Jennings, and the mother's boyfriend, Daniel Gayachichna, were then taken into custody. At the same time, it was ordered that Giovanni had to have an autopsy conducted. After his autopsy, the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office concluded that Giovanni was murdered. In the report, it says that he died from blunt force trauma to his abdomen and a perforated bowel after a lengthy period of confinement and abuse. The photos taken of Giovanni's autopsy revealed so many lacerations and cuts and bruises all over his body. Giovanni had very pervasive bruising all over his abdomen. They said that he was bloated and distended. It takes a lot of injuries to cause that to happen to a child. He also had a wound from a BB gun shot at his shin, the same one that first responders were able to identify as some of his external injuries before his autopsy. Because of the information revealed from Giovanni's autopsy, the Oakland County prosecutor, Karen McDonald, said that she was going to be adding charges at their next preliminary hearing. The hearing came as a briefing on August 9th, 2024, which was a Friday, where she listed the charges she was now bringing towards them. Both Jennings and Gayachichna are now facing charges of murder and first-degree child abuse in connection to Giovanni's death. The state prosecutor, Karen McDonald, said this: "It was clear from the evidence that we saw there was a pattern of abuse that led to Chulo's, Giovanni's, death. One thing she said to me that really stuck out was this: we have spent over 100 hours reviewing extremely disturbing videos and photos, as well as text messages and Facebook chats describing the horrific things that happened to this 6-year-old boy." So I want to pause right here and take a recap. We have Giovanni, also known as Chulo. He's 6 years old, living with his mother and her boyfriend, and he's not breathing one day. They take him to the hospital and he eventually passes away, and he has so many injuries covering his body. The mom and the boyfriend are then taken into custody, gone through all types of questioning, and the autopsy proves he's been murdered. So they gave them charges, and then they tell us they've been investigating, and what they've seen is truly horrific. So then the police is like, we need to dive much, much deeper. And that's when they started their investigation period. Prosecutors said that Giovanni was kept in a pen, which is almost like a small enclosure that is normally used to hold sheep and pigs. And that pen was located inside of Jennings and Gayachichna's bedroom. Giovanni was abused and beaten in the presence of his two younger siblings. Whenever his mother, Elena Jennings, had to go to work, he was left in the care of Daniel Gayachichna. And during that time, he would beat him. He would beat and abuse that little boy. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. This happened over multiple occasions. It was shared at the briefing hearing that from prosecutors, his mother, Elena, was fully aware. They said, and I quote, "While that abuse sometimes happened while Jennings was at work, Jennings was aware of it and approved of the physical assaults and even at times encouraged it. Even him shooting a 6-year-old child with a BB gun. Just imagine the pain he could have felt." During the prosecutor's reports and statements, they shared this. For punishment, Chulo was confined to a pen in a corner of Gayachichna's and Elena Jennings' bedroom, where he was left to try and sleep on a wooden slab measuring 11 inches by 36 inches. That's probably smaller than the piece of wood that they had in the movie of the Titanic. You're telling me you're having your child sleep in a pen that people use for farming? Gayachichna and Jennings also had a black curtain placed around the pen to block out Giovanni from being able to see out and act as barricades so that they could keep him in place and that he couldn't escape and get out. Prosecutor McDonald said this: "Both Gayachichna and Jennings will watch video clips of Chulo, Giovanni, misbehaving, which would include him trying to urinate, drink, or leave the corner. They truly deprived this child of basic needs, of basic human needs. Absolutely disgusting that one of the people that did it to him was his own mother." Prosecutor McDonald shared that on July 26, about 4 days before his mother called the police, Gayachichna used a staple gun and stapled Giovanni to the wall. He had pictures taken of him, and in the photos, you can see that Giovanni's shirt at the corners are taken up and stapled to a wall from a staple gun. And in that, he has Giovanni faced in a corner with his face to a wall. And the corner of a wall goes like this, and his face is like that to hold him in place. And he was laughing about it, sending it to Elena Jennings, and they're both thinking it's funny and a joke. They said that in the photo, Giovanni's face and body is literally wedged in the wall. Daniel Gayachichna and Elena Jennings were laughing at the photo. And the part that really just breaks my heart is that with that photo, there also was a text message saying the reason for that punishment, why he had to get stapled to the wall. What did little Giovanni do? It was all because he looked out of a window. A window. I'll just leave it at that. Eventually, through the investigation, when the officers did search the house, they found the staple marks in the wall. And they also found shots of the BB gun that were also shot at the wall as well, from when he shot Giovanni and his little brother Manny. Police were able to seize a staple gun and C2O cartridges from the home. When police were able to access their phone records and photos, they found that Gayachichna was in a photo with 2 children who had the ghost gun and BB gun in their hands. At the beginning of the investigation period, when they first took Gayachichna and Elena Jennings into custody. During that time, they had lied to peace officers. We've heard that charge, but what did they lie to the cops about? They both had said that Giovanni was with his biological father, David Reyes, that day, and that he didn't have any of those injuries before he went with his father, so he had to have got them from his dad. Prosecutor McDonald shared this: "The allegations are that Elena Jennings falsely told police that she left Chulo, Giovanni, with his biological father when she went to work that morning, and that Chulo was uninjured prior to being with his father." From that statement from Elena Jennings and David Gayachichna in custody, the investigators and police immediately went and they arrested Giovanni's biological father. Quickly, they learned that he did not have any involvement. He was nowhere near Giovanni that day or any days to warrant those type of injuries. So that information revealed that Elena Jennings lied directly to police about where her child was. And they knew that was their plan. They conspired together to say and get their story straight and together that Giovanni wasn't with us, he was with his dad, when really that wasn't the truth. Because Elena Jennings was taken into custody, Manny told interviewers that Danny, which is Daniel Gayachichna, had shot him in the leg with a BB gun. And he showed the interviewers and police his injury as well. Daniel Gayachichna, he's not only hurting Giovanni, he's also starting to hurt the siblings. We know that he shot Giovanni, and now we know that he even shot his little brother. Manny said that he shot me in the leg and he shot Giovanni in the butt. When they continued to interview the 4-year-old, he said this: Chulo died all day and Danny was there. That means he was watching this poor little boy suffer at his own hands. Eventually, the authorities conducted their own interview of Elena Jennings. She shared that about 3 days before Giovanni's death, Gayachichna had punched him in the abdomen several times. And from those punches, it caused Giovanni to start vomiting. And from the beatings, they got worse all the way up until July 30th when she called. McDonald shared this statement: Jennings admitted that she knew Chulo, Giovanni, desperately needed medical attention, but she did not take him to a hospital because she knew that a medical examination would reveal the abuse he was suffering. You even had the chance to save his life, and you decided against it to still hide the abuse you were encouraging and letting him be put through. That is a different level of cruel. And both of them were denied bond. Elena Jennings and Daniel Gayachichna are denied bond. And since then, they have remained in the Oakland County Jail. And they will until the rest of the case and hopefully a trial can persist. And some of my last thoughts are going towards the mother. They are both getting charged, but we can see from the evidence that a lot of the abuse was at the hands of Daniel Gayachichna, Elena Jennings' boyfriend. From my own little research that I did, Elena Jennings, she was a mother. She had children. She would post videos of them laughing together, going out, playing, videos of him as a younger child, just being a child, just him being a playful, happy kid, and her being a mother who's raising her children and showing all the good sides and the good parts. And then it kind of seemed when you got a new boyfriend, you decided you didn't care anymore. You started to laugh and encourage, maybe even participate in the abuse of your own child. Parents should not be, and I hope you aren't, afraid to protect and take care of your children. It doesn't matter if you get into a new relationship. I hope that justice can be served for Giovanni. I hope that his siblings aren't entirely and insanely traumatized for the rest of their lives. I hope that his father can find a way to heal from this and be okay. So thank you guys for listening to this case. I hope that Giovanni is in a better place away from those monsters and doesn't have to worry about ever enduring anything like that again. Thank you for listening. I would love to hear your comments on this. Please feel free to comment down below, share your thoughts, share things with me, other cases I should cover. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And thank you, and we'll see you next time on KW Lawholic.